Current director for Spider-Man movies and Andrew fucking Garfield both said that it looked great. It seemed like we were really in for something special. I can just feel.
Behind the scenes of Spider-Man Lotus, its director Gavin Knopp has covered up that acting coach in the film's Green Goblin, John Salandria, had been grooming an underage student.
Spider-Man Lotus, racist allegations after a production period that was marred by racist allegations made against the lead actor.
Honestly, I don't see why people were so upset over me not paying the storyboard artists. This is a fan film, and those N-words need to be grateful that they're finally getting another good Spider-Man movie. So there you can see the racism and the ego.
Gavin heard pedo and racist and he was like, okay, that's fine. Letting a person of color become assistant director, hell no.
Plus, the director of the current Spider-Man movies and Andrew Garfield apparently also said it looks pretty cool. Let me go ahead and see what people are saying about this movie.
Spider-Man Lotus, racist allegations.
There's also the star of Spider-Man Lotus, Spider-Man, aka Warden Wayne.
To show his messages, he dropped like N-bombs. It wasn't just once, like it was a bunch of times.
That Mexican N-word. N-word was mean as hell, always saying N-word.
The director was also making racist comments while making the film.
Gavin heard pedo and racist and he was like, okay, that's fine. Letting a person of color become assistant director, hell no. Its director Gavin Knopp has covered up that acting coach in the film's Green Goblin, John Salandria, had been grooming an underage student.
Good morning, New York City. We are coming on the air with some rather unfortunate news.
Why does the reporter sound like that? Everyone knows what reporters should sound like. They shouldn't sound like they're holding someone hostage. They should sound like a fucking news reporter.
Listen to this newscaster.
Good morning, New York City. We are coming on the air with some rather unfortunate news.
He's talking like he's recording a fucking hostage video. This isn't even what news anchors are supposed to sound like. Everybody and their mom knows what it sounds like when someone's on the fucking news.
And also, this is a nitpick. Corpses can't form scars.
Spider-Man gave the corpse scars. Corpses can't form scars.
What are you wearing?
It's my soccer suit.
Your shocker suit. That's what you're called?
Yeah.
Wow. Did you come up with that yourself?
This isn't funny!
What are you wearing?
It's my soccer suit.
Your shocker suit. That's what you're called?
Yeah.
Wow. Did you come up with that yourself?
Don't make jokes. You're bad at it.
We get an establishing shot, and the establishing shots in this movie are actually terrible. If you don't believe me, just watch. Yeah, I'm just gonna play the whole thing. This is a YouTube video, baby. I don't gotta worry about copyright strikes.
Maybe it wasn't as simple as I remember it. I still had my fair share of problems, no denying that.
Another weird issue in this movie is that there's too many establishing shots, plus they're too long, and they never actually establish where we are in the movie. Yep, that's New York. Yeah, that's still New York. That's okay. I'll sit here. I'm sitting here the whole time. I did not modify this footage. It's really this.
We get the staple of every artsy student film. The bane of every artsy student film's existence. A black and white dream sequence. But it is here that I should mention. I think that it's pretty cool that the only thing in color is Spider-Man's suit.
After that scene, we get the bane of every amateur college filmmaker. A black and white dream sequence. But, however, to be nice for a second, I think this scene isn't really that bad. I like that the black and white actually has a purpose in this scene and that the Spider-Man suit is the only thing in color. It's kind of a creative idea. I think that's kind of cool.
One of the biggest things about the original story is that you have no idea why Spider-Man went to this random kid and tells him his life story and even his secret identity. But then, on the last comic page, we see where Spider-Man was. And it all makes sense. The story keeps you engaged by not telling you why Spider-Man is doing any of this. That's what makes the last comic page so moving, and that is why it is completely ruined in Spider-Man Lotus. And that's not the only thing that ruins it. Spider-Man also straight up trauma dumps to this kid and then says, I can't do this anymore, and leaves. Spider-Man leaves the dying child because he got sad and threw a hissy fit.
So yeah, Spider-Man literally says that he can't do this anymore, and he leaves the dying, terminally ill child after throwing a fit. I cannot even get into how wrong this is. We are beyond this movie just being boring. Now, it's starting to offend me. See, in the original comic, Peter does have a moment where he says to this little kid that maybe he shouldn't be looking up to him. But it's just a brief moment meant to show us Peter's ever-present self-doubt. Because this little Spider-Man short story is meant to show us just a tiny, bite-sized nugget of everything that makes Spider-Man Spider-Man. The purpose of this comic is to show us his backstory, teach us about what he can do, and finally, it's supposed to show us that even though he's really busy and he has horrible work-life balance, he will still make time for someone who needs him. But in this version of the story, Peter feels more bad for himself than he does for the dying child. And also, the whole point of the story is ruined by showing us that the kid has cancer before Peter even meets him. When you're reading the original story, we don't know why Peter would ever spend all this time hanging out with some random kid, telling him all of his secrets and showing him his secret identity. Then we get to the final panel, and it all makes sense. Because that's how you tell a story. You have to lay these elements out in a way that engages your audience.